Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got Larry Ballard back, and this episode is entitled "The U.S. Fiat Dollar Must Be Allowed to Fall in Order to, happen whatever's going to happen on this planet as we go into a Nasara and Jassara world." Him and I are both on the same page. I can tell you that we cannot continue this madness of being taxed on everything we touch, everything your house is taxed, your income tax, your property tax, tax out the wazoo, and nobody seems to understand that we're being taxed about 65, 70 cents of every dollar you earn, because you can't turn left or right. Every time you're going to the gas pump or you're going to the grocery store, someone has their hand in your pocket 18 times a day, and we're going to put a stop to it. I believe wholeheartedly in a lot of the things that Larry preaches. Larry, welcome to the show. Let's get on with this presentation. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me know if you can see the screen, please.
I can, Mel. Before we
Awesome.
dip into the slides, though, I always like to go back and share with people what we did the week before, because
Sure.
it's going to tie into this. So we talked about what? The fall of China. So
Right.
just off the top of my head, I'm going to give you an idea of how China has to fall and the United States have to fall, because you can't build a new structure unless you tear the old structure down and put the new structure on a firm foundation. So China has been experiencing what I call the perfect storm. What do I mean by that? Everything has turned against them. So investments going in are down 56%. Exports going out are down at around 20%. Unemployment of youth is around 20%. The stock market's been falling. Um, they're they're no longer getting investments, and everything that can happen is happening. Their stock market is collapsing. Their real estate market is experiencing a $60 trillion collapse. Their GDP is down because exports and imports are down. And so bottom line is China is falling. So if you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to go back to see it. America's going to fall. It's not going to be as dramatic as China, but America has to fall in order to get that new foundation for the new system that Mel was talking about. So with that, let's go investigate as to why America's going to fall and what it means. And folks, before we start, it has to happen. It's not a bad thing. It is absolutely ordained by God, and it is mandatory for us to get that Red Sea moment where we get our freedom back. So if we get into this and you see some things that are scary, try to remember this is actually the best thing that could have ever happened to the United States and to the world. So
Yep.
let's dig into it.
The reset is very real, except we need the reset for the good guys. And the Jassara reset. You and I are definitely on the same page. Let's get to the next slide.
Okey-dokey. All right, so real quick, in a nutshell, here it is. BRICS is what's going to collapse the US dollar. Basically, we're going off the fiat currency system. It's collapsing. It was always a pyramid Ponzi scheme. It's gone. And was there an event that actually triggers that? Yep, there was. It was on June the 9th, when basically what happened is the BRICS nations said, we're not going to do business with the United States in terms of that contract anymore. And the dollar had nothing behind it. It didn't have gold, it didn't have oil, it doesn't have anything. That set the domino that fell, that's going to collapse the US dollar, and the US will no longer be, maybe in name only, but it will no longer be the world's reserve currency. And so that is going to de-dollarize the world, and then China is falling, and that's going to de-globalize the world. And the four biggest nations in the world in terms of size of their economy are all going to fall. Japan's going to fall. It may be the first one. Now, they basically avoided a default 6 months or so ago when they had to sell a whole bunch of bonds off to keep from having it to collapse. Britain had to do the same thing. Now China is collapsing and America is on the brink. That is the best thing that could ever happen, because that is the collapse of the global financial system as controlled by the bad guys. So let's move on.
Yeah. So you agree, Larry, that there's no way that they're going to be able to import this social credit score system known as the central bank digital currency, where you're walking down the street with a box basically saying, okay, you're a good little slave and you're able to buy, sell, and trade, but you're not a good little slave. So you're not able to travel or buy groceries or buy a train ticket to get home from your commute from work, et cetera. Correct?
Well, that's what they want to achieve. But
Right.
what we're going to see in this presentation is this collapse is not going to be like any other. The others were controlled collapses.
So
They
that
went to
Chinese
a
system,
certain point.
yeah, that Chinese system cannot come to
Yeah,
the United States.
the Chinese system, China is going to collapse and be relegated to being a regional power. It will never again be a global financial system. So go back and watch the other video, folks. I can't do justice with it with one single comment, but like I
Absolutely.
said, it's the perfect storm. Everything that controls an economy has hit China. They're done, period. The only hope China has is if they can launch a war and win it. And I don't think there's any chance in the world China can defeat America in an all-out war. So now we're just punctuating what's happening with BRICS, and the date was June the 9th, 2024. And look down at the bottom, and they started out with just Russia, Brazil, India, China, South Africa. That was BRICS. Look at down below, 97 countries poised to join BRICS. That means the world is going off of fiat currency. And if you think America doesn't have gold, if you think we aren't going to go onto a commodity-backed system with the rest of the world, then open your eyes, because we are, and you're going to see we got the gold. Let's go on.